Imagine paying into the system your whole life and finding there's nothing left when you retire. This fear is real for a lot of people right now. With rising costs, people living longer, and political promises that change direction more than Donald Trump's hair on a windy day, many are starting to think the state pension won't survive another 5 years, let alone another 30. There's a very real belief that the system is broken, that politicians will pull the rug, and that by the time millennials and Gen Z reach retirement, the state pension will be long gone. I hear it constantly when building retirement plans, clients asking if we should even include the state pension at all in our forecasting because they just don't trust it will be there. But jumping to extremes, like assuming it will be scrapped altogether, can lead to really poor planning decisions. Would any government actually dare to scrap it? And if not, what happens instead? Surely it can't continue in its current form, can it? How do we fix this mess? So in this video, I'll look at why the state pension isn't working anymore, whether or not it's really on its way out, and show you the best way to plan for what comes next. Before we debate whether or not it's doomed, we need to understand what it was created for in the first place. Today, many people assume the state pension was designed to give retirees a full, comfortable lifestyle, like a reward for working, but that was never the intention. Back in 1908, the Old Age Pensions Act introduced payments of just 5 shillings a week to people aged 70 and over, which was well beyond the average life expectancy at the time. It was means-tested and minimal, but revolutionary for its time. Later, the Beveridge Report in 1942 laid the groundwork for the modern welfare state, including the idea of a universal pension, and the rest, as they say, is history. The state pension's objective has always been simply to prevent poverty in old age, not to provide financial freedom. Over time, it's evolved. Now it's based on national insurance contributions and offers a flat rate, currently £230.25 a week for a full entitlement. But the core principle hasn't changed. It's to cover your basics, not to give you a life of luxury. It's important to mention this as if your aspirations are even marginally higher than simply staying clear of poverty, then you most definitely shouldn't be relying on the state pension alone. That might sound like an obvious thing to say, but once you realise that 1 in 8 retirees are currently solely reliant on it, you can see why I'd mention it. So if you take away nothing else from this video, let it be this. Even if you believe it will still exist in the future in a similar way to now, treat it as nothing more than a basic foundation. Talking of retirement, don't forget to grab your free copy of our retirement guide, which will show you the essential questions you need to consider to retire happy. Link below. The state pension has gone through more iterations than the man behind Spider-Man's mask, but the current Tom Holland is this, the new state pension. Web slinging a cool £230.25 a week to you, or in plain English, £11,973 a year if you're entitled to a full amount, all dependent on your national insurance record and whether or not you have enough qualifying years. To understand the challenge it faces, you need to understand how the cash flow of this thing works in practice. I mean, I wouldn't want to be as brave as calling it a Ponzi scheme, but, well, you make up your own mind. Many people assume that you pay into the state pension throughout your working life, build up a savings pot or a nest egg, which then funds you when you reach your retirement age. It's your right to access that pot you've built up. And I can see why people might think this, but that just isn't how this thing actually works. What really happens is this. People working right now, including myself and the majority of you watching this, will be paying national insurance contributions and tax in general. And this money is directly funding those people drawing and receiving a state pension right now. It's taken from you and given to them. So the success of this arrangement relies on balance. The right balance of working people paying into the system to retired people taking money out, sort of like a pay-as-you-go scheme, hence the Ponzi reference. As more and more people draw a pension for longer, this balance tips in the wrong direction. But that's not even the biggest problem. Arguably, the biggest source of tension around the state pension system isn't whether it will continue to exist or not, it's how it grows over time. And that's where the triple lock comes in. Firstly, don't fall into the trap of thinking that the triple lock is a permanent guaranteed right. It's not. It's a policy choice. And recently it's come under a lot of pressure because it's costing the government more than ever. The triple lock means the state pension rises each year by either the wage growth percentage, as taken from data from the average weekly earnings index, the inflation rate, as measured by CPI, or 2.5%, whichever is higher in any given year out of these three measures. It was introduced in 2010 to stop pensions losing value, but now it's become seriously expensive to maintain, especially with people living longer and drawing pensions for decades. In 2023-24, pensioners received a 10.1% increase, not because the economy grew massively, but because inflation surged after COVID. That one-year hike cost the Treasury billions. Then in 2024-25, it rose again by 8.5% due to wage growth, another eye-watering bill for the Treasury. Interestingly, the baseline 2.5% has only been triggered 4 times since its launch. Every other year, it's been higher than this. In my opinion, this is the area of the state pension that I feel will tumble first. Because the truth is, this triple lock has been 3 times more expensive than they thought it would be from its inception. That's not a throwaway stat by me, by the way. That's according to the Office for Budget Responsibility, the OBR. So you can see why many, including me, feel this inflation proofing will be scrapped or at the very least watered down, maybe replaced with a flat inflation-linked rise or capped increases. Even the Institute for Fiscal Studies, the IFS, say the triple lock should go, and have even put forward ideas for what might work instead. For example, they state that the state pension age should continue to increase as longevity at older ages rises, but not by as much as that increase in longevity. Here's the full document, which I'll leave a link to in the description. It's actually more interesting than it sounds. Or maybe that's just a sad reflection as to what I find interesting. Now the big question. If it's so expensive and under so much pressure, will it even exist by the time you retire? I think the first myth we can debunk is this all or nothing thinking that either the state pension will be paid in full forever in its current form or it will be completely scrapped. The truth is far more nuanced. A lot of younger people on forums like Reddit say, there's no way we'll get a pension, the system won't survive. And I get where this stance comes from. However, the IFS and other experts say that while reforms are inevitable, full abolition is highly unlikely. If for no other reason than it would be politically toxic. Here's the reality. Abolishing the state pension would be a political nightmare. Older voters are the most active demographic and millions rely on it. Who would vote for a party that had on their manifesto the scrapping of the state pension? It's like asking turkeys to vote for Christmas. So what's more likely than it being scrapped? Well, here's 3 things at least. A later pension age. It's already moving out to 68, but don't be surprised to see this stretched out further. Less generous annual increases, a rethink to the triple lock. Possibly even making an element of it means tested, although the IFS says themselves this is a bad idea, and I have to say I totally agree. To say it will vanish overnight I think is too doomsday, but I think a safer assumption is that over the long term it will evolve. Quite frankly, it needs to, and all the experts agree. The real challenge is a political one, because whatever changes are made are likely to be pretty unpopular. In short, yes, I include the state pension in my planning with my clients, and as far as the inflation increases I apply to it, I currently use a flat rate of 2.5% a year, the lowest of the current triple lock arrangement. But I often highlight these issues with clients and stress that we don't want to be over-reliant on it, and it's of the utmost importance that people take their retirement into their own hands and invest in their own future so they can design the life they want and aren't reliant on political promises. Yes, you can always look at a version of the story if the state pension doesn't exist, if you feel it really is doomed, and plan accordingly. But I think it's more suitable to include it in a conservative way, maybe at a later age or with less inflation proofing. The key thing here is to understand that financial planning is not a one-stop fix. It's an ongoing conversation that needs adjusting as things change. If the state pension changes, I will review my clients' plans and adjust accordingly as needed. So if you're watching this and wondering, am I actually on track for retirement? That's exactly what we help people figure out. You can learn more about working with me and booking a call via the link in the description. And now that we've covered what role the state pension might play, the real question becomes, what's the best way to build the rest of your retirement income? Should you be topping up your pension? Should you focus on ISAs? Or is paying off your mortgage early the smarter move? That's what we break down in the next video. So click here and let's figure out which path makes the most sense for you.